Tonight you'll go home. You'll close a door. You won't think about it for even 1 second, but that simple act is newer than you think. Far newer. And the real answer to when it began is far stranger than you'd guess. You assume shelter started with a roof, a wall, something solid. But your ancestors didn't build houses because they were clever. They built them because they were terrified. For most of human history, you didn't live in a house. You lived under a sky. A cave, if you were lucky. Shelter wasn't built, it was found. So when did that change? The oldest known evidence comes from a lakeshore in what is now the south of France, at a site called Terra Amata. Around 400,000 years ago, early humans built oval huts from branches braced into the sand, with a hearth placed carefully in the center. A hearth. In the center. That's not an accident. That's a plan. Archaeologist Henry de Lumley, who excavated the site, found rows of ancient post holes curving into shapes 8 to 15 meters long. Not caves, not overhangs. Something imagined first, then built. Push further back, and it gets stranger. At Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania, Mary Leakey uncovered a rough circle of stacked stones nearly 1.8 million years old. Some researchers believe it once anchored a windbreak. If true, the impulse to build shelter is older than your species, older than language, maybe older than fire itself. Here's the twist. It wasn't tools that made this possible. It was fear. Early humans weren't the strongest animal around. No claws, no night vision. What they had was a group, a fire, and eventually, walls. And once a wall existed, something in the mind changed. You stopped thinking only about right now. You started thinking about tonight, tomorrow. Who sleeps inside? What stays outside? That boundary, inside versus outside, might be one of the oldest structures your brain still runs on. Think about what a locked door does to you, even now. A small ancient signal fires. The wild stays out there. You stay in here. Psychologist John Bowlby called this a secure base, a protected space your nervous system needs in order to feel safe enough to rest. He was writing about caregivers, but it maps perfectly onto a hearth glowing in the center of a hut, 400,000 years old. Disaster researchers studying displaced survivors have found the same pattern in reverse. It isn't only possessions people grieve. It's the loss of enclosure itself. Without walls, the mind never learns when to stop being on alert. That's the same fear your ancestors were answering, long before anyone had a word for fear. So the real answer isn't a date. It's a decision. A small group on an unprotected beach looked at the open wind. And instead of moving on, they built the cave themselves. Which means the house you live in tonight isn't a modern invention. It's an old idea wearing modern materials. The drywall is new. The impulse behind it is not. So tonight, when you close that door, notice it. Not as convenience, as the latest version of something first imagined on a beach 400,000 years ago, when a frightened group of humans decided the wild didn't get to choose where they slept anymore.